So if we are hand-picked from the source to be hosts of this planet, then there is no doubt that we have a lot of work to do. There's a lot of cleaning up, and there is a great need for balance. CO2 or CH3, or however you want to put it, simplified by sinking copper. Because as you go through the process of a nanostate gas with your consciousness and your reach to your intention, you realize that you just made yourself a tool to start that cleaning up yourself and your environment. So Jackie on the team, on the French part of the team, and English, he does a gesture and nobody really pays attention, but he makes sure through his body language that it is possible to understand what he's doing. And the gesture is simple. He puts some zinc-based liquid plasma in a spray, and as he's holding his presentation, he just sprays those over his window, and why not some in his room? And that's a symbol. But that symbol is very serious, because what he does is to clean and help the vacuum to balance. So his gesture represents a direct attitude and active knowledge how to create balance through pollution and dirt. Of course there is no dirt. It's just things that shouldn't be there. So as our oceans are getting affected by oil that shouldn't be there, it doesn't mean that the water is dirty. So you understand copper and zinc and what it can do to water molecules. Then you have understanding that during the healing process of water molecules, where does the decay go? And when you look at the difference between atoms and subatomic particles, then you realize that that must be the decay's way out of the situation. And you can help this procedure using the full consciousness, the part of the full consciousness that you can call intentions, and realize that your intentions are activated. And it's a bit too late to call it smart. You're actually in work. You're doing something that makes sense to Mother Earth, its oceans, and Mother Earth's balance. And you can make this operation as complicated as you want, starting with north, south, east and west, and the ley lines. How you can affect Mother Earth as fast as possible using consciousness. Mother Earth has a language as much as the plants and the animals. They have consciousness as well. Sometimes, and unfortunately too often, Mother Earth with its plants and animals are showing much more consciousness than we have. So through the energy, the understanding of the energy behind the world humbleness, to be humble, is an energy. It's not a word. It shouldn't be a word. It should be an action. So very often this humble attitude has traditions and heritage. A good example is the Chinese academy, where you have the pupil asking a question to the teacher, but the rules are that as soon as the pupil opens his mouth, which means before the creation of the question, the teacher is supposed to smile. The reason is because the teacher are so happy to discover a pupil that are wondering, which means that the pupil are using the small gray particles in the brain. But it's also the pleasure that makes the difference between the pupil and the teacher, that the people are supposed to know. That's something that we don't know in Western countries about pupils and teachers. Because the teachers in Western countries are supposed to know, forgetting the smile and the joy. So questions, or rather answers, should be loaded with joy. And the questions should be loaded with wonder. And if you combine the two, the honor of being a teacher and then the honor of being a pupil, it's the same. And in Western countries, we had an heritage of shame if you ask, and shame if you don't know. Idiots, ignorance, and social hierarchy is easy to talk about and see through. But it's ongoing. And that's where we have self-punishment and all kind of imbalanced human beings that really needs further understanding of sinking copper. So we're not creating direct solutions as much as we are creating helpers, possibilities, opportunities. I would love to give as much examples from details as essence as possible, because the metals that we are using do have a link to the periodic system or the periodic table, and that clearly creates a big problem for people. If you knew the periodic system, then what's the usage of plasma technology? I can give clarity to the dilemma, because I don't like much to use the word alchemy, but it's necessary. And I understand that other scientists in plasma technology doesn't use the word alchemy either, because it has a bad reputation, starting with ether. You know, there is a reason why it was taken off, and that creates a lot of confusion, because one of the consequences is actually that the more you understand of the periodic table, the further you get lost into the physical world. And instead of calling it ether these days, you could call it MC square. And you'll be stuck once again. Because when you tend to believe that there is no soul, then you're referring only to your body. And if you want to know your soul, why not start with the photons? because then you can add many of those energy sources to your soul. And that's only when you get out of the body in understanding and consciousness. And so I think it's a misunderstanding altogether that put the physical part in one box and the emotional, spiritual part of yourself in another box. That's a misunderstanding, because what's going on every day, it seems to be that we're mixing them up naturally. We are having thoughts that we can't measure. We try to measure thoughts in time space. We measure all kind of life experiences with theory and practical measure sticks, or abstract and concrete. It is so clear that in the physical world we have a huge heritage in Western countries, much bigger than the heritage of alchemy. And the alchemy part are from mystical schools very often, and they're on and off. 300 years where you're more or less allowed, and 300 years where it's illegal. And chemistry has always been allowed. That's because chemistry is into the physical matter. The only thing you need to do at a particular time was to skip the ether that puts the soul or the photon understanding as much as the physical understanding.